Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Friday the 11th of February 2022. Today's Millwall news, we have a preview of tomorrow's game at home to Cardiff City, and of course that means Steve Morrison coming back for the first time ever. So that's where all the focus is, all the stories are about, and here we go. So if you're not that interested in this, I don't know what to say, but we'll get onto the match later on. So former Lion Steve Morrison excited at lack of any limits as he takes first step into management at Cardiff City, and this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. Steve Morrison is loving life as Championship manager, with the former Millwall captain excited by the potential to progress his career. The ex-Lion, who hung up his boots at the age of 36 in October 2019, was appointed Cardiff City boss for the remainder of this season in November 2021. I love all aspects of it, said Morrison. I love seeing things you put together work, having an impact on people's lives, having a purpose and having a desire to achieve something. That was a crossover from the playing. Towards the end I was just hanging on, whereas now I'm trying to get somewhere. There are no limits to where you can get to. It's that drive to see how I can be better. It's like playing all over again. The only difference is that I've started at a slightly higher level than I did when I played. I could end up back down at the level I started playing at if I don't stay in this job forever. You can soon drop down the leagues. You can only be as qualified as I am now. I've got no boxes to tick on that. I've got a few things I still want to look into from an education point of view. It's now, how good can you be? How high can you get? It gives you that little extra motivation to get up every day. Morrison scored 92 goals in 336 matches for Millwall. He admits the uncertainty of management makes it more stressful than playing. As a player, you sign a 3-year contract and you're there, whether you win or lose every game for that period, if it's what you decide to do, said Morrison, whose assistant boss at Cardiff is former Crystal Palace defender Mark Hudson. As a manager, you're basically going game to game. That's how you have to approach it. You try and plan short, medium and long term, but within that you're planning in the even shorter term of game to game. We're all in the middle at the moment of Saturday, Tuesday over a 4-week period. That is 8 games. There can be 8 losses and then you won't be there for the 9th game. It's a results business. You should put pressure on yourself as a player, but it's a different stress for a manager because you're not as in control of your destiny as playing. As a player, you can go, I can't believe the manager has picked that team. No, you haven't got that because I'm the one who picked the team. As a manager, once you step back when the game starts, you can't affect it as much. It's out of your hands, a completely different feeling. So there's a piece about Steve Morrison's first foray into management generally. And now we're going to move on to this from News at Den, which is basically how he thinks it's going to go tomorrow. So, so hopefully they'll boo me out, ex-Millwall captain Morrow, on the reception he expects from Lions fans. Cardiff City manager Steve Morrison is prepared for a resumption of his love-hate relationship with Millwall fans on Saturday. Morrison, 38, returns to the Den for the first time as an opponent as the Bluebirds aim for a 4th consecutive league win. The former Lions captain scored the winning goal against Bradford in the 2017 League One playoff final, and then said the Millwall fans who invaded the pitch after the full-time whistle ruined a day for him. Morrison was asked in his pre-match press conference in Cardiff what kind of reception he expected. Bit of both, I reckon, Morrison replied. In the warm-up, it'll be all good, and then as soon as the game starts, it'll be the usual stuff. Hopefully I can give fist bumps to the away fans and they'll boo me out. I loved it as a player at Millwall. I thrived off it. I loved the back and forth nature of the fans. They had a go at me, I had a go at them. I played on the edge and they helped me to play on the edge. It will be surreal, but I'm sure I'll feel that energy straight away. I don't see why any home fan should be nice to the opposition team. You're there to intimidate and help your team win a game of football. Exactly. Morrison sees similarities between Millwall and Cardiff. He said, yeah, they're both very honest and industrial, hard-working football clubs. That has to be the bedrock of both football clubs. How that looks above that is different. It has to have that as a basic level. I'd like to think that there will be a few more people through the door on Saturday and there will be extra edge to it. I always enjoyed it and I hope my players will enjoy it. But I won't enjoy it fully until we win the game. And Morrison picked out his favourite moment of his Millwall career. From an emotional point of view, that goal against Bradford at Wembley, Morrison said, it was a royal of over stuff. We got there with the last kick of the season to get into the playoff mix. Then to score the winner in the 86th minute in front of 45,000 of your home fans was huge. I had a really good time there, 7 years over 3 periods, 7 good years. Playoff heartache, playoff success, good runs in the Championship, surviving relegation. All those things I did there stood me in good stead for being a good coach and manager now. I experience a lot. You do speak to other people in the game you lean on, but I can say I pretty much experienced everything in football, especially at this level. A lot of the things we lean on is personal experience. That's one thing we've got in myself and the staff in the office. My experience of Millwall have allowed me to have a lot of knowledge of what it requires to stay up, get promoted, consolidate, be loved, be hated, all of it. Cardiff are heading to South Bermondsey off the back of a 4-0 win at home to Peterborough. Morrison added, "We will have a game plan to beat Millwall. If we carry out the plan as we did against Posh and Nottingham Forest, the result should be positive." Watch out, guys, he's got a game plan and he's not afraid to use it. So, the game tomorrow. This is an historical record of Millwall versus Cardiff City. This is from the website 11v11.com. Now, this fixture was well talked about last season because we were going to have a record, possibly. If you look at the bottom here, you can see it was 7 draws in a row, and we were set to be an eighth draw in a row, which is absolutely insane that you would get that. And it's not that it's over literally about 6 or 7 years that all the games, home and away, were draws, which is insane. It is absolutely insane. But that was ruined earlier this season when we lost 3-1 at Cardiff City. So the spell was broken, and the last time we've beaten Cardiff was at home in 2014. So that might seem not that long ago, but time flies when you're not having fun, and that is actually coming up to 8 years. So 8 years and 9 games ago was the last time we beat Cardiff City. And if I just go back up and sort this in terms of home games, so here we have the home games of Millwall versus Cardiff, and pretty not that many defeats there, to be honest. Yeah, we have won a lot of games. So the last defeat we had was in 2012, and before that was 1982. So it's not a game we lose a lot. And before this run of draws we actually had a run of draws here from 2004 to 2011, a run of 5 home draws in a row, varying scores: 0-0, 2-2, another 0-0, 3-3, another 0-0. Yeah, so there you go. Pretty weird one. It seems a fixture where we don't really lose that much. It's not a game we lose that much, especially at home. But there are a massive amount of draws there, especially recently, as they kind of got on the bubble a bit. They've been bought by Malaysian business owners or whatever. They've had that investment. They got in the Premier League. They're back down now, and then I think they've gone with a cheap option with Morrison because he was already contracted with the club. He was the under-23s manager, so I don't know if he's still on the same amount of money, where they just give him more money, or it's just can you take over until the end of the season? So there you go. It seems they have gone with a cheap option because the money's kind of dried up now. It's been a while since they were in the Premier League, and they're kind of a sort of permanent fixture in the Championship now, and that's when all these draws have come in the Championship. So in the Championship, when we've played them in Championship 2004 to present day, if you take that record, played them quite a fair few times at home. I only lost one game. I only lost one game. 2012, lost that 2-0. I only won one game. There's 1 win, 1 draw, one win, 1 loss, and about, what's that, 7 draws. So yeah, that is a bit of a statistical anomaly. Let's move on now to this from WhoScored.com, more recent form. So here's the last 6 games. As you can see, 1 win for us, 1 win for them, 4 draws. Goals wise, 5 goals for us, 6 goals for them, and 12 yellow cards for us, 4 for them. So we've had more yellow cards than them. Now let's look at the match facts on the right hand side. Millwall have drawn 8 of their last 10 home game matches against Cardiff in all competitions. Millwall have seen under 2.5 goals in 5 of the last 6 home matches against Cardiff in all competitions, so not a high scoring game. Cardiff are undefeated in the last 8 matches against Millwall in all competitions. Well, I tell you what, it's about overdue then, isn't it? If we haven't beaten them in 8 games in all competitions, that suggests to me that the time is nigh. So let's look at the table now, where you can see in the table we're 15th, they're 20th. They had a very bad start to the season, which saw the manager Mick McCarthy let go and then Steve Morrison come in. And you can see now they've caught up and they're only 5 points behind us now. I've got the same amount of wins as us. As we know, our problem is drawing. So we've got double the amount of draws they have. The same amount of wins. And despite being 5 places below us, they've scored more goals than us. 35 to 29. But they've also conceded more as well. That's what happens when you try and win games. Let's have a look at the form. There you go. They're in form. We are in relegation form, 21. That is bottom of the barrel. That's not good. 1 win, 1 draw, 4 defeats. 4 goals scored in 6 games. Isn't that great? Very entertaining. They've scored 10 goals in 6 games. And they've won their last 3 games, as you can see there. So let's have a look at home games and away games. So we've actually kept clean sheets in our last 2 home games. A 0-0 draw against Preston, a 2-0 defeat of West Bromwich Albion, and before that we had the unfortunate defeat to Nottingham Forest that was probably going to end to 0-0 without that awful throw-in right there that got intercepted and we got done on the counter. So there you go. But you can see in those last 3 games you've only scored 2 goals, and that was against West Brom, who were in absolute shit form as well, and who immediately in the days after that game they fired their manager. So can we score tomorrow, or will we get the West Bromwich situation, or will we get the Preston situation? Who knows? So let's look at Cardiff. You can see here they've only failed to score away once in the last 6 away games. That was at Bournemouth, where they had a player sent off. Even in the game after that against West Brom, as we've just discussed, they're in awful form. They drew 1-1 with them, despite having a man sent off, and West Brom had 2 men sent off. So that was sounds like a cracker of a game. Even at Bristol City, where they lost 3-2, so they went for it, but it didn't quite work out. They ended up losing 3-2. They won 1-0 at Barnsley, and they lost 3-1 away at Liverpool. So even against Liverpool, they managed to score. Although I imagine that was not the better grade A premium Liverpool team put out against Cardiff in the FA Cup. And that is also another thing to consider. So they've had an extra game there. They had to play against Liverpool in the FA Cup, and they did have a game midweek against Peterborough. So that didn't do them any harm, because they won that game 4-0. So there doesn't seem to be any hangover against the Liverpool result, because I imagine the players felt pretty happy about how they played again in that game. So there you go. Here's the strengths and weaknesses. As you can see, there's a lot more strengths and a lot more weaknesses for Cardiff. So now let's move on to this from whoscored.com as well. There's the injury lists. There's the team news. I'm not going to get too much into that. Jed Wallace could be due to start. There is a possibility. Danny Ballard may make the bench. Don't know about that, but I think he needs to get the permission from Arsenal. They're very protective of him, quite rightly so. He's a very good player. So let's have a look at their prediction. Millwall couldn't contain the threat of Alexander Mitrovic on Tuesday night as the Championship's top scorer added another 2 goals to his tally for the season in a 3-0 Fulham win. Gary Rowett's men have won just 1 of their last 6 league games. Cardiff was superior in every department on Wednesday night, scoring 4 times against a ragged Peterborough defence in a convincing home win. Steve Morrison's men will fancy their chances in the capital following a 3-match winning streak. So they're in a 3-match winning streak. We haven't beaten them in 8 games, but they say Millwall 1, Cardiff 2. So their streak continues. That's possible because we don't seem to be able to score at the moment. So that is possible. So let's move on now to this from SkySports.com. David Prutton, Sky Bet Championship predictions. So let's see where we are. Where do you think we are? Probably quite low down. Yeah, so he says Millwall 1, Cardiff 1. So he thinks Cardiff's winning run will end, but their run of not being beaten by Millwall will continue. Interesting. This is a game that we could and should be winning, to be honest. Yeah. Gary Rowett said this is the best side he's had. He's bringing more and more players in. This is getting more and more Gary Rowett team, and the results are getting worse and worse. So what does that say? What does that say? And you can point to the injuries that we've had, but if I play a game of poker and I lose all my money, I'm going to say, oh well, yeah, you got to play the cards you get dealt. You got to find a way. Don't just bitch and moan about excuses. Oh, COVID this, no home fans that. That was last season. Now this season it's injuries this, injuries that. You cut the squad to pieces. Half of our first team is lone players. You've sent all the useful under 23 players out on loan. We've only got 1 centre forward at the club because you didn't bother bringing Isaac Olofi back from Sutton United because the date for recall was passed because you thought you were going to sign a couple of forwards, and then both of them ended up signing for Cardiff, by the way. So tomorrow, if they score against us and beat us, you're going to be looking at like they could have been playing for us. But this is a game we should and could be winning, and if we don't, then let's not hear any excuses, because that's all we seem to get from Gary Rowett at the moment is excuses. I'm not interested in excuses. But what do I think now? Jed Wallace coming back. He seemed to be fired up. He got a high score. I don't know if you saw my post-match stats video after Fulham. He got a high score when he came on against Fulham. He did play very well, trying to do things. That was against Fulham. If he starts against Cardiff, I think we could probably be winning that game. I think Jed Wallace has got a point to prove. I think he wants to get stuck in and get the club out of the shit that it's turned to without him being there, which so I think it will be, I think we're going to win. We should be winning this game. I think it's going to be Millwall 2, Cardiff 0. That's what I think. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Millwall. So there you go. Let's watch out for that. I hope it is. Thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.